My wealthy boyfriend never gave me a single gift during our 7 years together. After proposing, he even took back the jeweled ring to return it, and when we were about to get married, he complained that the filing fee was too expensive. But then he turned around and married his childhood sweetheart, eagerly booking the most luxurious restaurant in town for their engagement party. Grandma had a heart attack because she couldn't bear the shock, and I knelt, begging my boyfriend to return the salary I'd entrusted to him over the years to pay for Grandma's surgery. But he held his childhood sweetheart and pretended not to know me, saying he wouldn't help a lazy beggar and had the bodyguards throw me out. Later, Grandma passed away amidst the New Year's Eve fireworks. On New Year's Day, I was alone, handling Grandma's funeral arrangements and accepting an offer from an overseas Fortune 500 company. When I went home to get my passport, the man, in a good mood after accompanying his childhood sweetheart to meet her parents, thought I was just throwing a tantrum and generously promised for the first time, "All right, what could be wrong with your grandma? I'll just give you a lavish wedding, so she can have her moment of glory." But he didn't know that from the moment Grandma breathed her last, I never wanted to marry him again. I had just picked up my passport when a hand with distinct knuckles snatched it away. "Looking for something so intently that you didn't even notice I was back?" My boyfriend, Howard Thompson, had just returned from outside, his nose red from the cold. Seeing that it was the passport, the corners of his lips, which had been slightly raised, straightened, and his eyebrows furrowed slightly. "What are you doing with the passport? Planning to cause a scene overseas? Didn't I tell you, Laura's family is pushing her hard, and marrying her is just to appease them? I'll quietly divorce her after some time." Without looking up, I coldly snatched the paw. Sport back. He rubbed his cold fingertips. In the past, when I saw him return, I would always considerately ask if he was cold, prepare a hand warmer for him, and pour him a cup of hot water. But today, I was unusually indifferent. He reached out and cupped my face, the cold air hitting me, forcing me to look him in the eyes. "Linda Eastman, are you being too jealous? Don't you think how many high society people were watching at that time? If this gets back to my dad, we'll both be in trouble." I gave a self-deprecating smile. To him, I was just a pastime that couldn't be shown in public. I pried his hand away, but he came back. His icy fingers lifted my chin, carefully examining the small scratches on my cheek, his voice full of pity. "Those bodyguards don't want to live anymore, do they? Turning our Linda into a little kitten. I'll dock all their pay later." There he goes again. In the past, no matter how angry I was, I would forgive him after being pestered by him. Not this time. 7 days ago, at the engagement banquet, the bodyguards, at Howard Thompson's instruction, pushed me to the ground when they threw me out of the hotel. Trying to reach above her station. Mr. Thompson and Miss White are a match made in heaven. I've seen plenty of gold diggers like you. The passers-by pointed and jeered at me, mocking me for being able-bodied but acting like a beggar, kneeling on the ground to beg for money from a man. I had already lost all my dignity. Coming back to my senses, Howard Thompson saw that I was still unhappy and finally used his trump card. He brought over a box of vitamins/supplements from the doorway. "For Grandma. Don't use her needing surgery as an excuse to trick me and attract my attention again. It's pointless." Grandma, whom I depended on for life, said she wanted to see Howard Thompson and me get married with her own eyes so she could offer her blessings. But what she saw was Howard Thompson marrying another woman, and she collapsed on the spot. The doctor told me that Grandma would have a chance to live if she had surgery. On New Year's Eve, I humbly begged people to help me raise money, but either my calls were rejected or I was cursed for being unlucky. Amidst the New Year's Eve fireworks, Grandma closed her eyes unwillingly, leaving me alone. The thought of Grandma's pale face pierced my heart, and my eyes instantly turned red. I didn't take the box of vitamins/supplements, but said coldly, "Howard Thompson, let's break up." Before those 3 words could escape my lips, Howard Thompson interrupted me. All right, you've been with Grandma for Christmas these past few days, and you're running low on cash, right? He flicked his fingers and transferred $200 to me. Consider this money as groceries for Grandma. No need to write an IOU. It was laughable. He was afraid I was materialistic and made me hand over my salary, giving me pocket money after his approval. Every time he transferred money to me, he would ask me to write an IOU. In our 7 years of dating, I owed Howard Thompson a mountain of debt. In the past, I only thought his family owned a company, so he was more sensitive to money, and I spoiled and satisfied his requests. But his frugality was only directed at me. He could spend a fortune on a diamond necklace for Laura White, and he could buy her a villa without batting an eye, making headlines every time. Where the money is, there the love is. Coming back to my senses, I immediately transferred the $200 back and said coldly, "No need, I don't need it." Howard Thompson finally looked at me seriously, as if thinking of something, and said helplessly, "Think it's too little? I promise you, I'll have a lavish wedding with you, so your grandma can have her moment of glory. You're all the same. Materialistic." That word was truly grating, but I had endured it for 7 years. I just wanted to enjoy the life of a normal couple exchanging gifts and going out shopping, but he accused me of being materialistic and competitive, saying I coveted his family's money. No need to have a lavish wedding, you and I aren't husband and wife. Howard Thompson's handsome face fell, revealing the familiar look of annoyance. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Howard Thompson glared at me and turned to open the door. The next second, I heard his voice suddenly rise. "What are you doing here?" I turned my head and saw Laura White standing at the door, wearing a down jacket that matched Howard Thompson's. She gently nudged Howard Thompson's chest and smiled brightly. "Prince Charming, my girlfriends are here today and want to see what my sister's husband looks like. Spend another day with me." Passing Howard Thompson, she looked at me, blinked her innocent eyes provocatively, and said, "Linda Eastman, you shouldn't be angry, right? You weren't angry the other day. Thompson and I are just buddies, you know." As she spoke, she deliberately said she was cold, intertwined her fingers with Howard Thompson's, and showed off their matching wedding rings. Howard Thompson looked at her adoringly and skillfully put her hand into his pocket to warm it up. Why would she be angry? "Don't worry, I'll give you face." Saying that, Howard Thompson picked up his car keys and turned to leave. After taking 2 steps, he seemed to have just remembered me, let go of Laura White's hand, stepped forward, cupped my face, and kissed the corner of my lips. "Don't worry, this is the last time. I'll be with you every day from now on." "But Howard Thompson, there's no future for us." I vigorously wiped my lips and watched them leave playfully. Then I turned around and picked up the resignation letter that had already been prepared on the table. In the first week after New Year's Day, my colleagues had already returned to work. Seeing me arrive late, they all secretly snickered behind their hands. "Linda Eastman dares to come to the office? She's gone crazy for money." She caused a scene on the CEO's engagement day, kneeling to ask the CEO for money. She has no shame. She usually looks so aloof, acting like she's on top of the world just because she's been with the CEO for 7 or 8 years. Even my dog isn't as servile as she was when she begged for money. She deserves it. I ignored their ridicule and walked into the HR office without changing my expression. HR pursed her lips and said coldly, "We've already applied for you. Once the CEO approves it, you can pack your things and leave. In your situation, we won't give you any compensation." I nodded, said nothing, and turned to leave the office. The sun was setting in the west. It was just after Christmas, and the streets were filled with couples or families of 3. And I was all alone. A huge sense of loneliness surged into my heart. My only relative, my career that I had worked hard for many years, and my lover were all gone. I slowly walked on this road that I had walked for 7 years, back and forth between home and the office. For a moment, memories flooded my mind. When I was 7 years old, my parents died in a car accident, and all the compensation was divided up by my vicious relatives, leaving only Grandma and me to depend on each other. Later, Grandma accidentally saved Howard Thompson, who had fallen off a cliff while traveling in Mountain View Village, and treated him like her own grandson. From then on, Howard Thompson and I had an intersection. At that time, I was just a college student, working several part-time jobs every day to make a living. Howard Thompson volunteered to visit Grandma and often sent me messages about her. Whenever I couldn't hold on any longer, Howard Thompson would hug the collapsing me and softly comfort me, saying that he would always be with me and never leave me. At that time, he loved me and wanted to be with me every day. Even if I was dressed plainly, he would intertwine his fingers with mine and proudly introduce me to everyone. "This is my girlfriend. She's beautiful, right? She's the best girlfriend in the world." But gradually, he began to look at me with suspicion, afraid that I was coveting his family's property. He wanted me to voluntarily hand over all my salary for him to manage. Later, his control became stronger and stronger. Even if I applied for $5 to buy a cup of milk tea, he would be suspicious. Until 3 months ago, on the day Laura White returned to the country, he happily took a picture of a priceless jeweled ring for her and spent millions to write 7 words on the city billboards: "Laura White, welcome back." That day, it was the first time he didn't come home at night. When I went to find him with the police, he was still drunk, grabbing Laura White's arm with red eyes and questioning. "When we were playing house at the age of 5, you said you were a princess and I was a prince, and said you would marry me. Why did you leave again?" I felt cold from head to toe. After he sobered up, I had a big fight with him, arguing about who he was thinking about in his heart. But he said I was thinking too much, asking questions he already knew the answer to, and that if Laura White hadn't left, I wouldn't have had the chance to cross paths with him. It wasn't until Laura White posted a message on her Moments saying she wanted to get married that Howard Thompson took the initiative to end the Cold War, knelt on one knee, and asked me if I was willing to marry him. It was laughable that I was overjoyed, thinking that he had finally chosen me, and tearfully agreed. This ridiculous relationship was finally about to end. Coming back to my senses, I realized that I had unknowingly walked very far. In my ears, there was a lot of noise. "Sister's husband. You can't go back on your word for truth or dare. My sister can't wait any longer." At the entrance of a karaoke bar not far away, Howard Thompson was surrounded by a group of people, tightly holding Laura White's hand, and shouting, "I, Howard Th. Thompson, only love Laura White." He shouted it 3 times, louder and louder, more and more firmly, attracting the attention of passers-by on the entire street. The man who had always been unruly had red ears. Laura White naturally took his arm and smiled sweetly. The crowd cheered even louder. "The atmosphere is already here. Why don't you two kiss?" Howard Thompson was suddenly stunned. Laura White hurriedly smoothed things over. "Don't go too far. My sister's husband is thin-skinned." Before she could finish speaking, Howard Thompson cupped her face and leaned down for a passionate kiss. It was just a light touch. Howard Thompson didn't close his eyes. His eyes were deeply fixed on Laura White, as if he wanted to engrave her in his heart, full of happiness and contentment. It seemed that just one kiss was enough. The next second, afraid that Laura White would misunderstand, his ears turned red, and he pretended to be calm. I didn't stand firm just now." Before Laura White could say anything, he hurriedly said, "It's getting late. I should go home, or my dad will use family punishment on me." The most precious thing in the world is a prodigal's sincerity. Love is a hand that wants to touch but retracts. I was only a few meters away from him. The cold wind blew on my body, turning my already shattered heart into dust again. Howard Thompson lowered his head and hurried on his way, bumping right into me. He looked up, saw my face, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Sorry. I interrupted him. It's okay. Then I turned around and left, opened a ride-hailing app to call a car. Behind me, doubtful voices were asking, "This person looks familiar, Thompson. It seems like she's the gold digger who knelt and begged you for money at your engagement. She wouldn't have taken the opportunity to steal your money just now, would she?" Check quickly. Howard Thompson always defaulted to these slanders against me. After arriving home, I took out my phone to pay for the order. On the phone, the ticketing software popped up a message. Your purchase of the overseas flight from Sunny Bay City to Los Angeles has been successfully reissued and will take off at 3 p.m. tomorrow. Please make plans. I sent the screenshot to the HR I was in contact with at the overseas Fortune 500 company. Before I could speak, HR said excitedly, "Linda, I've been eagerly waiting and will welcome your arrival tomorrow." My eyebrows softened. I didn't have love, but I could pursue my career. Then I picked up the luggage that I had already packed and walked outside, not wanting to stay in this home for another second. But I ran into Howard Thompson. He frowned, slammed the door shut, and asked in a deep voice, "Linda Eastman, where are you going?" Laura White, who was behind him, said hypocritically, "Linda Eastman, don't misunderstand. Thompson and I are just good buddies, helping me out. Don't argue with him because of me and run away from home." I couldn't be bothered to listen and said lightly, "Howard Thompson, let's break up." Howard Thompson was about to scold me for being jealous, but he was stunned for a second because of my words, then widened his eyes and exclaimed, "Break up? Just because I was putting on a show with White, you want to break up with me? Linda Eastman, don't you want to have a lavish wedding anymore?" In his heart, he probably still thought I was madly in love with him and was using a lavish wedding to threaten me. In the past, I really would have humbled myself to him because of this and begged him to grow old with me. Now, I just smiled mockingly, "Howard Thompson, you and I have nothing to do with each other. What kind of lavish wedding are we going to have?" Nothing to do with each other? Howard Thompson's face was covered with a layer of frost, and his tone was icy. "You didn't say that a month ago when you agreed to my proposal. You said your lifelong dream was to marry me, and the wedding ring is still." Saying that, he froze and began rummaging through the cabinets, trying to find the ring to slap me in the face. I said lightly, "No need to look. You took that ring back, returned it for $10,000, and then bought Laura White a hair tie as a gift." Speaking of this, I suddenly felt extremely sarcastic. In our 7 years of dating, I had never received anything from him. The gifts I bought him by saving money were considered cheap by him, and he sold them secondhand. And the only diamond ring he gave me was also taken back after the proposal, saying that there was no need to be extravagant and wasteful and that it was better to save the money for the lavish wedding. Howard Thompson's eyelashes trembled slightly. His gaze swept around the home, and he stubbornly said, "There's no ring, but there are the things you bought me, the things I bought you." He couldn't continue speaking, and his face was a little unsightly, because he realized that in this home, he couldn't find anything that could prove that he and I were in a relationship. Laura White gloated and stirred up trouble. "All right, Linda Eastman, stop making a fuss. You eat and wear Thompson's things, so you should be more generous and share Thompson's worries. Thompson is at a crucial moment in taking over the company, so don't cause trouble." It would have been better if she hadn't said anything. Once she said that, Howard Thompson gained confidence and crossed his arms with a sneer. "White is right, Linda Eastman. Can't you be more far-sighted? After I inherit the company, I can buy you anything. Now, obediently put down your luggage, or don't blame me for cutting off your living expenses." I let go of the hand I had placed on the suitcase and took out a box of IOUs instead, saying indifferently, "Howard Thompson, for these 7 years, you gave me $200 in living expenses every month. For other additional expenses, you made me write 500 IOUs, totaling $20,000. Grandma's surgery fees and treatment fees over the year. Total $300,000. I deposited my salary card with you. My salary for 7 years should be at least $1 million. Now, please return the remaining $680,000 to me." Howard Thompson was so angry that he overturned the box in my hand, and countless IOUs fell like snowflakes. "Linda Eastman, I've been with you for 7 years. In your heart, aren't these measly hundreds of thousands more important? How can you be so superficial?" Howard Thompson's tone of disgust and contempt made my voice hoarse. "Howard Thompson, this money is all the result of my hard work." Unexpectedly, he instantly became angry and kicked the coffee table, making a loud noise. "Money, money, money, Linda Eastman, what else is in your heart besides money? Why can't you be like White, who doesn't admire fame and fortune, is straightforward and easygoing? She's never asked me for anything. My dad is right. Dating poor people like you is a waste of effort. We're not people from the same class. Your hard work? Are you kidding me? You would still be drinking the Northwest wind without me. This is all the salary I paid you." I gave a self-deprecating smile. Laura White didn't compete or snatch because she had everything. She just had to stand there and do nothing, and Howard Thompson would offer her good things, along with his true heart, with both hands. Seeing that I was silent, Howard Thompson said fiercely, "All right, Linda Eastman, take the money back. I'll never keep it for you again." The next second, Howard Thompson forcefully threw the bank card at my face. The card grazed my cheek. I gently wiped it, and my hand was covered in blood. Howard Thompson panicked instantly and reached out to touch my cheek, muttering, "Linda, are you okay?" I gave a self-deprecating smile and raised my hand to block his hand. Looking at the panic in his eyes, I said in a bleak tone, "Howard Thompson, aren't you tired of playing the game of Prince and Cinderella?" "But I don't want to play anymore." I picked up the bank card, got up, and picked up my suitcase. Then, my footsteps stepped over those IOUs that proved the last connection between Howard Thompson and me. Howard Thompson was a little absent-minded. Seeing my hand on the doorknob, he woke up as if from a dream and stopped me. "Linda, don't be angry. This is what arguments are like." I spoke without thinking. I turned the doorknob, went out, and never looked back. When I arrived at the hotel front desk, I took out my bank card to pay. But the staff told me that the balance was insufficient. I apologized and then took out the $20,000 travel expenses transferred to me by the overseas Fortune 500 company and paid the bill. After throwing my luggage into the hotel, I checked the statement from the bank. Only then did I discover that the money on my card was long gone. The payment records were for various couples' restaurants, couples' suites, and luxury counters. Howard Thompson never had any couples' expenses with me, nor did he give me anything. It was self-evident who these expenses were with. Just then, HR sent me a message, "Linda Eastman, if you're in a hurry, go find the CEO to sign it yourself tomorrow morning." I replied with an okay. I slept well all night. The next morning, when I passed the HR department, I saw Howard Thompson's tall and upright figure. HR was busy processing Laura White's employment and complimenting, "Miss White, the CEO is so good to you. You two are a perfect match." Laura White looked smug, with a vice president's badge hanging on her chest. "Thompson, you directly parachuted me in as vice president. Will everyone say that I came in through connections? I remember Linda Eastman was with you for 7 years and was only a team leader." Howard Thompson didn't take it to heart and helped Laura White tuck the loose strands of hair behind her ears. "You're my wife. Who would dare to say anything?" Or, you don't want to rely on my connections? They looked like a loving newlywed couple. Sin. See, I had run into Howard Thompson. I could avoid making another trip. I handed him the resignation letter. CEO, please sign this. Howard Thompson's eyes lit up when he saw me and slowly took it. His gaze swept over the resignation letter, and he smiled mockingly with some disappointment. You're making a fuss about leaving, pretending to be virtuous? Don't forget that your grandma is in poor health and has many underlying diseases. With your savings, you'll be drinking the northwest wind in a few days. Laura White looked smug. That's right, Linda Eastman. Don't delay your grandma's retirement problem for the sake of momentary satisfaction. HR added without knowing the truth, but CEO, Linda Eastman's grandma has already passed away. She took leave from me some time ago. Howard Thompson was stunned instantly, and the fingertips holding the resignation letter trembled slightly. He looked at my plain expression and suddenly felt a little guilty. Why didn't you tell me? Looking at his erratic eyes, I suddenly remembered many years ago when Howard Thompson was simple and honest, chopping firewood and cooking for Grandma. His handsome face was blackened, and he showed me his white teeth and smiled happily. I also remembered Grandma holding my hand with tears in her eyes before she died and saying, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought you and Thompson together." The pain was still spreading, and I said coldly, "CEO, is it necessary to report personal matters to you?" Laura White frowned and was about to reprimand me. The next second, Howard Thompson suddenly dragged me out of the HR department. My wrist was red from being held, but I could feel him trembling. I hissed. Only then did he suddenly let go of me and put the resignation letter back in my hand, rarely showing weakness. Linda, don't be impulsive. Wait for me. Let's have a good chat after work, okay? At this time, Laura White suddenly opened the door. Thompson, Dad just called and said he has some thing to discuss with you. Answer it. Howard Thompson turned around hurriedly, with a somewhat embarrassed look of fleeing. I shook my head and was about to leave when Laura White stretched out her foot to stop me. Linda Eastman, please clear out your office quickly. I want to move in. The vice president's office and the team leader's office were not the same. I knew she was deliberately ostracizing me, but it didn't matter anymore. Anyway, I was leaving soon, and there were indeed some things that should be taken away. Just as I was packing up my things, there was a knock on the office door. I opened the door, and an employee from the auction house was holding a delicate gift box in his hand, smiling ingratiatingly. Are you Howard Thompson's lover? This is the bracelet that Mr. Thompson auctioned for you at the auction some time ago. Please try it on. I was stunned in place. What was this? A breakup gift? The crowd didn't hear the employee's words clearly, but looked at the logo on the gift box and whispered, "That's Bulgari. The cheapest one costs at least $200,000. No wonder Linda Eastman is resigning. It turns out she's hooked up with a sugar daddy." Before I could speak, the employee from the auction house had already taken out the bracelet and asked me to hand over my hand. Just as the chain was about to be fastened. Linda Eastman, I know your home is poor, but I didn't expect that you would steal my bracelet using my name. I'm Thompson's lover. Aren't you going too far? Laura White didn't know when she had found me and snatched the bracelet from my wrist, looking at me with contempt. Hearing this, the auction house employee was terrified and quickly apologized. Laura White waved her hand to indicate that it was okay and said hypocritically to me, "Forget it, Linda Eastman. You come from a small family and may not have seen good things before. Understandably, you're greedy for a moment. But the company can't tolerate this kind of petty theft. I just checked the red mark caused by the bracelet breaking just now and smiled self-deprecatingly. I knew that Howard Thompson couldn't be so generous to me. Seeing this, the crowd urged Laura White to put on the bracelet. "Miss White, the CEO is so good to you. He's simply a wife-doting maniac. That Linda Eastman has a face as thick as a city wall and has the nerve to impersonate you. I don't think we need to give her any face. Just kick her out. I gave a self-deprecating smile and was about to pick up the cardboard box to leave when I heard Howard Thompson's voice asking, "Linda, what's going on?" The crowd spoke up for Laura White, CEO. Linda Eastman's hands are dirty. She even stole from Miss White. Look at this bracelet. It's worth at least hundreds of thousands. Should we call the police and arrest her? That's right, Linda Eastman is not worthy of staying in our company. Laura White smiled gently and deliberately showed off the bracelet on her hand. Don't listen to their nonsense, Thompson. I like the gift you gave me very much. Howard Thompson's face darkened instantly. I lowered my eyes, waiting for Howard Thompson to scold me for being materialistic and a snob. But he shouted at Laura White sternly, "Take it off! Take it off!" These 3 words caused everyone present to show surprised expressions, and no one dared to breathe loudly. Their eyes darted back and forth between me, Howard Thompson, and Laura White. They never dreamed that Howard Thompson would ask his wife to take off the bracelet at this time. This was undoubtedly a slap in Laura White's face. I even took another look at Howard Thompson. After discovering that his expression was serious and not fake, I couldn't help but feel confused. Laura White's face, which had originally had a faint smile, turned pale. She glared at me fiercely without leaving a trace. But under Howard Thompson's rather stern gaze, she could only raise the hand with the bracelet on it, and the other hand rub the chaw in twice. Seeing that she was dawdling and unwilling to take it off, Howard Thompson repeated expressionlessly, "Take off the bracelet and return it to Linda Eastman." The word return made everyone show even more shocked expressions. Could it be that they had all been misled by Laura White and misunderstood Linda Eastman? This time, Laura White no longer hesitated and simply took off the bracelet and threw it into the gift box, opening her mouth to save face. Laura White shrugged her shoulders, making an indifferent appearance. "Prince Charming, this was sent by the auction house employee just now. I didn't snatch it from her." If it were the Howard Thompson of the past, hearing the words Prince Charming, he would have melted like butter, believing everything Laura White said. But this time, Howard Thompson handed me the watch somewhat cautiously, saying apologetically, "Linda Eastman, I specially got this for you. I'm sorry I let someone else wear it first." Noticing the piercing gazes of the crowd, he seemed to snap out of a dream and made up an excuse. Howard Thompson clenched his fist and coughed lightly. "You've been a loyal employee for many years. This is my Christmas gift to you." I smiled wryly. No matter what, in Howard Thompson's heart, the opinions of others are always the most important. I simply picked up the cardboard box I had already packed and said calmly, "CO, no thank you. Although I've been with you for many years, we don't have a personal relationship. I can't accept such a valuable gift." Howard Thompson's face changed drastically when he saw me picking up the box, probably thinking I was about to leave, and he grabbed my arm in a panic. "Linda Eastman, I didn't approve your resignation letter. What right do you have to leave?" Laura White gently took Howard Thompson's other hand and reminded him softly, "Howard, I know you value talent, but Linda Eastman has made up her mind. We shouldn't force her to stay. Everyone's watching. Calm do. WN." Howard Thompson's grip on me lessened, and a struggle flashed in his eyes. Finally, he said softly to me, "Linda Eastman, didn't we agree? We'll talk properly after work." I frowned. Seeing him like this, I didn't understand what he meant. I wasn't so narcissistic as to think he still had feelings for me and couldn't bear to let me leave. Most likely, he still wanted to have it both ways and enjoy the best of both worlds. But I was already awake and didn't want to be his spare tire for amusement anymore. So, I put down the box and took out the resignation letter again. "CO, Miss White is right. Please sign it quickly. I'm still not suitable for the workplace." Laura White urged, "Yes, Howard, listen to Linda Eastman, you can't force things. But Howard Thompson was unexpectedly provoked, and flames shot out of his eyes, as if he had been insulted. The next second, he snatched the resignation letter from my hand and tore it to shreds, saying, word by word, Linda Eastman, fine, your plan succeeded. I admit, you are my girlfriend, please stay, okay? Hearing this, everyone was even more astonished. After all, in their minds, I had always been a person of low character, a clingy nuisance to Howard Thompson. I smiled sarcastically. CEO, you must be joking. Miss White is the one you got married to. Miss White is the one you're engaged to. What would Miss White think if you said that? Laura White's face was truly as ugly as it could be. For some reason, I felt a little happy. In the past, I was always the one watching Laura White flaunt her status in front of me, making me feel like I lumped in my throat. Now, she finally got a taste of that feeling, too. Howard Thompson's expression was also particularly unpleasant, and he suddenly smiled. Linda Eastman, where else can you go without me? You're already over 30, which an overseas Fortune 500 company want you? Or have you found another man? I looked at the clock in the office. All this commotion had taken until 11 o'clock. If I argued any further, I would miss my flight. So I gave him a final ultimatum. CO, I originally wanted to part ways peacefully, but if you insist on not letting me resign, then I can only find a lawyer and file for labor arbitration with you. Howard Thompson immediately showed an expression of disbelief. He never expected that I would be so determined to leave. Behind me, a stern and cold voice came, who wants labor arbitration? Howard Thompson turned his head, and his whole body trembled, as if a cat had seen a tiger, and he subconsciously called out respectfully, Dad, what brings you here? Howard Thompson inherited Mr. Thompson, Sr.'s genes, and the father and son had a 70% resemblance. Mr. Thompson, Sr., was well-maintained, wearing a suit and leather shoes, looking at most 40 years old, only the fine lines at the corners of his eyes and lips betrayed his true age. Hearing Howard Thompson's address, the lines between Mr. Thompson, Sr.'s eyebrows deepened, and he said unhappily, Do I need to tell you how to address me in the workplace? Howard Thompson pursed his lips and immediately became as obedient as a quail, Mr. Thompson. Laura White, on the other hand, raised the corners of her lips, grabbed Mr. Thompson, Sr.'s arm, and acted coquettishly, smiling, Dad, why did you come to the office? Mr. Thompson, Sr.'s eyebrows also relaxed, and he responded with a smile, When I called just now, I felt that Howard wasn't acting right. I thought something happened to you as the vice president. Of course, I had to come and see. Laura White immediately seized the opportunity and said with a smile, Dad, I knew you were the best to me. I knew that Laura White was deliberately showing affection to Mr. Thompson, Sr., just to declare her dominance and tell me bluntly that she was Howard Thompson's wife, the female owner of the office. The people around me even forgot about me and complimented, seeing is believing, see. Hairman Thompson is truly decisive and vigorous, something we can hardly match. The corners of my lips curled up in a mocking smile. I continued to pick up my cardboard box and walked out. Young lady, wait. Mr. Thompson, Sr., suddenly stopped me. He had a dignified aura, his eyes were sharp, and he said coldly, You didn't give a month's notice for your resignation. Even if you go to labor arbitration, you won't get any good results. I interrupted him and said with a bitter smile, Mr. Thompson, you misunderstood. I'm not here to extort money from you. I just want to resign quickly. I don't want anything. Mr. Thompson, Sr., was slightly stunned and turned his head to look at Howard Thompson. Howard Thompson lowered his head and didn't say a word, looking guilty. Seeming to think of something, Mr. Thompson, Sr., smiled, looking extremely enlightened. I should have said so earlier. Howard has only recently taken over the office. It's inevitable that he's not smooth enough in his work. I'll make the decision. You can leave now." Howard Thompson suddenly raised his eyes and couldn't help begging, "Dad, don't let her go." Seeing this, Mr. Thompson, Sr.'s expression completely cooled down, and he said sternly, "That's the decision, everyone disperse and go back to your posts." His chest heaved a few times, but he still called out to me, "Young lady, come here for a moment, it won't take you a few minutes." Anyway, the resignation was already finalized, and I didn't want to disobey him, so I followed him into the conference room. Howard Thompson and Laura White followed in. Howard Thompson looked happy. "Dad, are you going to?" But the next second, he was kicked in the back of the knee by Mr. Thompson, Sr., and fell straight to the ground. I heard a crisp thump sound. Howard Thompson clutched his knee, his face pale, cold sweat dripping, but he didn't dare to disobey a word. Mr. Thompson, Sr., scolded him sternly. "Howard Thompson, are you crazy? You cried and begged me before, using suicide to force me to let Laura come back to the country and marry you. Now that you've married Laura as you wished, you're still messing around with other women, you're playing both sides." He pushed Howard Thompson and scolded, "Apologize to Laura and promise never to do it again. Otherwise, you'll face family punishment." I smiled wryly. So, in the 7 years I was with Howard Thompson, he never gave up the idea of being with Laura White. From beginning to end, I was just a pastime for him. Laura White also pretended to help Howard Thompson up, constantly persuading, "Dad, it's okay, it's all my fault for coming back too late, Howard will settle down in the future." But Howard Thompson just trembled his lips and said, "It's not. It's not like that, Dad. Linda Eastman has been with me for 7 years, His words were incoherent and incomprehensible. For a moment, perhaps even he didn't understand what he was clinging to today. He was already legitimately with the person he had always longed for, so why was he still not satisfied? Looking at the scene before me, my heart was unexpectedly calm. I knew that Mr. Thompson, Sr., was putting on this act in front of me, not to play the role of a strict father disciplining an unsuccessful son. Sure enough, the next second, Mr. Thompson, Sr., took out his checkbook, signed a number, and handed it to me. At this time, he raised his face slightly, looking very arrogant. "Stop pretending to refuse, take the money and leave my son, the further away the better, and never come back." Howard Thompson was stunned. I silently counted the zeros on the check. 10 million. A whole 10 million. If Grandma could have gotten this money when she was seriously ill, how good would that have been? But it was too late. I gently took the check. Howard Thompson's gaze dimmed inch by inch, as if he had lost all his strength. But I just tore the check in half, put it on the table, and said calmly, "Mr. Thompson, I don't need it. I've already bought a plane ticket to go abroad. I'm leaving today and will never come back." Mr. Thompson, Sr.'s face showed surprise, but he quickly suppressed it and nodded. He picked up his phone and did something. My phone then received a system notification. I was already in a resigned state. When I went out again, everyone's eyes subconsciously gathered over. Mr. Thompson, Sr., forcibly pulled Howard Thompson and said with a formulaic smile, "Howard has been having some trouble with Laura recently. If he said anything strange, I hope everyone won't spread it around. It's all a misunderstanding." Everyone showed thoughtful expressions, indicating their understanding. I took this opportunity to go downstairs, take my luggage, and take a taxi to the airport. When I arrived at the airport, there were still 10 minutes before boarding. I breathed a sigh of relief. Although it wasted some time, it still went according to plan. But then, my phone was bombarded with calls from Howard Thompson. I hung up, and he called again, seemingly very urgently. But I just put him on the blacklist. The next second, he bombarded me with text messages. "Where are you? Which airport? Which flight? I'm coming to find you now. Stay where you are and wait for me." I felt inexplicable and even a little annoyed. So I moved my fingers and sent a text message, Howard Thompson, we're over. Then I directly blacklisted him. After waiting a while longer at the airport broadcast announced the boarding announcement. Many people were taking this flight, and I dragged my suitcase to the back of the line. Just as I was about to pass through the gate, there was a burst of exclamations behind me. I subconsciously looked at the place where everyone's eyes were focused. Then, a tall figure directly hugged me. Howard Thompson hugged me tightly, as if he wanted to integrate me into his bones, making my shoulder blades ache. He seemed to have run very fast, panting heavily. Looking up at me, he smiled happily. Linda, let's elope. His face was flushed from running, and his suit was wrinkled. In the deep winter season, he exuded coolness all over, but his eyebrows were still handsome. The face that I never got tired of looking at before, now that he was hugging me, I felt disgusted. I frowned, pushed him away with all my strength, and tried to keep my voice down. Howard Thompson, wake up. You have a wife, a career, don't make trouble. Howard Thompson was already overwhelmed by adrenaline and hugged me tightly again, acting like an octopus. No. Linda, I don't want Laura White, I don't want the office, and I don't want any family property. Let's elope to a place my dad can't find. The people around didn't know what was going on and thought we were a couple about to have a long-distance relationship, and they showed teasing smiles. Young lady, your boyfriend is so reluctant to let you go. Why not take him with you? Yes, career is important, but love is also important. There aren't many good men like this anymore. Hearing this, Howard Thompson's ears turned slightly red, and his voice was even lower. Linda, do you know, I was so scared when you left. I almost thought I would never see you again. His sweet words were very pleasant to hear. If I had heard them before, I might have been moved to tears. But now, I said calmly, aren't you afraid of your father? He's so powerful. What will you do if he finds you? Howard Thompson roared as if in response, don't mention him. He's a lunatic. He found a gold digger himself and blamed it on me. If he hadn't brainwashed me and said that no one loved me, that they only loved my money, how could I have lost you? As he spoke, he took out a black card and put it in my palm as if offering a treasure. Here, I've wanted to give it to you for a long time. Linda, I'll hold nothing back from you from now on. Will you give me another chance to love you, okay? I knew that Howard Thompson's madness today was the result of years of oppression by his father, who had a strong desire for control, and it had finally erupted. I had healed him for so many years, but I still hadn't been able to help him get out of the shadows in his heart, hadn't been able to make him open up to me. Shaking my head, I sighed, put the black card into his pocket, and then took out my phone, about to dial the police. Just then, another group of people came into the airport. Mr. Thompson, Sr., was at the head, followed by Laura White. Behind them were a dozen black-clad bodyguards, glaring at Howard Thompson. Howard Thompson was still hugging me tightly at first. But Mr. Thompson, Sr., just gave him a look and hooked his fingers. His whole body trembled, and he obediently walked over. Mr. Thompson, Sr., gave me a smile without any warmth. Linda Eastman, Howard has been spoiled by me. Don't mind it. I hope you have a good time on your trip abroad. I knew that Mr. Thompson, Sr., was hinting that I should never come back. Looking at Howard Thompson, who was being led by Laura White with an obedient expression and lowered head, I suddenly felt that he was also quite pathetic. His resistance was so powerless in front of Mr. Thompson, Sr. Goodbye forever, Howard Thompson. Turning around, I passed through the gate and boarded the plane to go abroad. In the suitcase, there were Grandma's ashes. Looking at the city where I had lived for more than 30 years, I waved goodbye. Gently stroking the suitcase, I seemed to hear Grandma say, wherever sister is, that's my home. After landing, HR warmly received me and found a cemetery with a great location to bury Grandma. The female CEO even offered me a salary of $1 million a year. This female CEO rose to her position step by step based on her strength and has a high reputation in the industry. She looked at me, smiled, and said, "Linda, when I saw you at the banquet 3 years ago, I knew one day you would join my team." I nodded and devoted myself to work. The next time I saw Howard Thompson was half a year later. He was wearing a well-tailored suit, looking high-spirited, and was walking out of the conference room with the female CEO, Ada, with a smile. Seeing me, Howard Thompson smiled slightly. "What, Miss Eastman looks surprised? I'm here to sign a contract this time, a big order worth $50 million. Ada smiled and asked me to entertain Howard Thompson. I frowned fiercely and asked Howard Thompson what he was doing here. Howard Thompson smiled slightly and pushed a contract towards me. I said impatiently, "This is not my responsibility." Howard Thompson smiled, put the pen in my hand as if asking for credit, and said softly as if whispering between lovers, "Linda, take a good look." I only looked up and was stunned in place. The name of that contract was the Office Transfer Agreement. I suddenly stood up from my chair. Howard Thompson laughed, a laugh that made my hair stand on end. He hugged me, as if he was very happy. "You don't know how hard I had to endure playing husband and wife with Laura White for the past 6 months to completely get my dad out of power. Linda, now, I'm offering the office with both hands. Do you know my true heart?" I only felt that Howard Thompson was crazy. Reaching back, I tore up the contract and said sternly, "Howard Thompson, I have nothing to do with you anymore. Please, don't ruin my peaceful life." Because of this incident, I was absent-minded when I went home after getting off work, until a sharp horn sounded in my ear. The next second, I was pushed to the ground. The world became dizzy, and tinnitus took over everything. After a long time, my senses returned to normal. I blinked and realized that there was a car accident next to me. Lying in the pool of blood was a tall, dark-haired man. His eyebrows and eyes were soaked in blood, but I recognized him at a glance. Howard Thompson. The tinnitus was getting louder and louder. I staggered over and tentatively checked his breath. Although weak, it was still there. Fortunately, there was a hospital not far from this block, and the ambulance came quickly. The police also came to take a statement. They told me that the driver was drunk driving, and the route he was driving on veered onto the sidewalk. It was Howard Thompson who pushed me away, but he was knocked away. In the hospital, Howard Thompson's lips were pale, and his head was wrapped in thick gauze. The doctor said that Howard Thompson was lucky. He only had a slight concussion and was overworked. He would be fine after a period of rest. Out of humanitarian spirit, I could only ask for leave to take care of Howard Thompson until he woke up. To be honest, he saved my life. No one would not be moved by his actions. But he did so much to chase after Laura White in the first place, and he finally got together with Laura White, so why did he painstakingly come to find me again? Just as I was pondering in my heart, his eyelashes fluttered, and he woke up. Before I could speak, he grabbed my hand. "Linda, I've already divorced Laura White, it's just that the news hasn't been released yet. Don't hide from me." Because of the emotional fluctuations, his head hurt, and he closed his eyes tightly. But his hands were still holding me tightly, as if afraid that I would run away. But I found it funny and asked him, "Howard Thompson, do you take marriage as a child's play?" After speaking, I put his hand into the quilt. In his flustered expression, I explained, "I'll go find a doctor to check you out." He was relieved and looked at me with puppy-like, pitiful eyes. But I didn't go to find a doctor. After leaving the ward, I directly contacted Laura White. As soon as the phone was answered, I heard her gnashing her teeth. "Linda Eastman, are you showing off to me?" Don't think that just because Howard is attracted to your playing hard to get now, you can become Mrs. Thompson. You wish. How ironic. Did she think that everyone was like her, going after the title of Mrs. Thompson? I just said, Howard Thompson had a car accident, come and pick him up. After speaking, I went to find the doctor. The doctor told me that Howard Thompson was recovering well and could be discharged from the hospital in 2 more days. Howard Thompson pouted, looking a little unhappy. I'm getting better, Linda. Won't you take care of me anymore? Now you've finally become the same as before, treating me well. I don't want to be discharged from the hospital. I knew I should have let the car crash me and paralyze me. Hearing his crazy words, I only felt absurd. He used to like to act childishly, but he was 30 years old. How could he still be so naive? I put the peeled orange into his palm. Don't jinx it. If you're paralyzed, your dad won't let me go. He seemed very disappointed, fiddled with the orange peel with his fingers, and put the orange on the table as if in a huff. I didn't say anything, just picked up my briefcase and said coldly, Laura White will come back to pick you up tonight. I'm going to work. After speaking, I turned and left. Hearing Howard Thompson angrily call my name and scold me for being ungrateful, Laura White's actions were still very decisive. In the evening, I went to the hospital to hand her. But as soon as I entered the ward, she slapped me, her eyes bloodshot. Linda Eastman, nothing good happens when you get close to Howard. Why are you always haunting me? Looking at Howard Thompson's nervous expression, I got out of bed to stand in front of me. Then, looking at Laura White's indignant face, the corners of my lips curled up in a mocking smile. Are they acting out an idle drama in front of me, performing affection? The script of a broken mirror being mended is good, but I don't want to be the spare tire female number 2. I kicked Laura White in the abdomen, threw Howard Thompson's medical record on her, and said coldly, Laura White, take care of your husband yourself. I originally thought that after Laura White took Howard Thompson back, it wouldn't be long before Howard Thompson's interest in me would fade, and after getting used to my departure, he wouldn't come to me again. Who knew he would squat downstairs at my office every day? Laura White even bought him hot coffee to warm his hands. It had become a strange sight. Today was even more outrageous. A limousine was parked downstairs. Mr. Thompson, Sr., came, and Howard Thompson refused to leave, attracting passers-by to watch. The female CEO, Ada, saw the scene and laughed uncontrollably, asking me to handle it to avoid affecting the image of the office. I was speechless. I went downstairs and walked to Howard Thompson. The cold wind was biting. Howard Thompson pushed his dad away, rubbed his cold fingers, and asked me happily, Linda, have you forgiven me? I just said, Mr. Thompson is here, go back with him. Howard Thompson's face instantly fell. Mr. Thompson, Sr.'s dark pupils were extremely deep, and he threatened in a calm tone, Howard Thompson, do you think I'm so easily overthrown? If you don't want the office anymore, stay here, and I'll find someone else to manage the office. Hearing this, Laura White instantly became anxious and tugged at Howard Thompson's sleeve, begging, Howard, look, it's been so long, it's time to go back. Linda Eastman is not worth you doing this. Howard Thompson's eyes flashed with hesitation. He looked at me, and still stubbornly said, if you don't give it to me, I don't want any family property, I just want to be with Linda. Linda is not like my mom, she won't dislike me whether I'm poor or rich. This sentence directly hit Mr. Thompson, Sr.'s sore spot. In the past, Mr. Thompson, Sr., didn't recognize people clearly and liked a gold digger. Later, the gold digger cheated and also drugged the Thompson family father and son, almost committing patricide. It was the first time I saw the usually calm and elegant Mr. Thompson, Sr., showing a ferocious expression. He sneered, fine, don't regret it. Laura, come with me, don't pay attention to him. Laura White hesitated for a moment, but still followed Mr. Thompson, Sr. I looked at Howard Thompson, who was left alone, and I only felt a headache. Mr. Thompson, Sr., kept his word and froze all of Howard Thompson's bank cards. Howard Thompson had no choice but to sell his luxury goods. Because his English wasn't very good, he could only do some basic labor. Washing dishes. Seeing the increasing number of frostbite on his hands, and even making it increasingly difficult to bend, I could only persuade him again and again, and tell him that I no longer loved him, and ask him to return to the country as soon as possible. But he didn't know what he was thinking, and said with a sweet face, "I know, you're doing it for my good, it's okay, I don't think it's hard, I want to work hard to resist. I'm my dad's only child, he'll definitely give in, and then you and I will go back to the country together, and I'll directly transfer all the property under my name to you, okay?" I have to say, he was whimsical. In the past, I was willing to tolerate everything about him, like taking care of a child. Only now did I realize how selfish and terrible this man-child was. At this point, I had done my best. I stopped asking about Howard Thompson's life and focused on my work. Because of my outstanding performance, Ada directly promoted me to vice president with a salary of $5 million a year. The office gave me their blessings. On the day of my promotion, Howard Thompson was waiting for me downstairs. He somewhat cautiously gave me a necklace and said specifically, "Linda, congratulations on your promotion. I bought this for you with a month's salary. Why don't you try it on?" I gently took it. Howard Thompson's eyes lit up inch by inch, and he couldn't stop smiling. Then, I turned around and grabbed a passing colleague and asked, "Do you want this tie for $50? The colleague smiled and said, "This brand is not cheap. Are you selling it to me?" I nodded. Then the colleague and I exchanged money for the tie. Howard Thompson's face turned pale as he watched the scene. How could you?" I chuckled and said, "Howard Thompson, isn't this how you treated me for the past 7 years? Do you think we can still get to the future?" Howard Thompson looked at me deeply, as if nailed to the spot. The next day, I heard from the restaurant where he worked that he had returned to the country. Not long after, news broke in the country that he was divorced. However, he never had any scandals again and became a diamond bachelor that everyone in the industry wanted to curry favor with. And my life and his gradually became parallel lines that would never intersect. The end. A new processing plant. During this period, David Miller was always with me, encouraging me. David Miller and I got married. He has a 15-year-old daughter who is very cute and likes me very much. Amid the hustle and bustle, my life became complete, with a husband, a child, and a career. Following the tide of reform and opening up, our family of 3 strode forward, leaving behind a trail of laughter and joy.